So much fun stuff that's happening right now. This is the midterm election, so this is a revolutionary year, whether you want it to be or not. So should be a blue wave, right? A big resistance, a big opposition. The House and possibly even the Senate will go Democrat. But not only do I like that Colorado is a blue state, I want Colorado to be so blue it turns green. So I want to talk about the mayor, but right before I talk about the mayor, the first postmodern mayor, not the first mayor of Pueblo Chieftain, you stupid lying sons of bitches. God, the Pueblo Chieftain, they just lie. Okay, so before I talk about the mayor, I want to talk about all the other races that are happening that are just as important as the mayor. The mayor's an important race, but there's the sheriff's race is more important for Pueblo. And there's also the district attorney, and there's a attorney general, Colorado governor, lieutenant governor, Pueblo County coroner, federal House representative, District 3, Scott Tipton. So it's the midterm elections because of Scott Tipton. You want to talk about America and war and what Trump and the Republicans, Democrats, what they're doing right now in D.C., how they're running this nation. It goes through District 3, Scott the Wretch Tipton. He's a federal House representative. That's what makes, this election. That's what Americanizes this election. The governor's race shows what direction Colorado is going to go. Amendment 71 says we got a shit ton of conservatives. You had a whole bunch of people try to undo the marijuana legalization movement here in Pueblo City. So you got reactionaries and you got old-time conservatives, and they don't even conserve back to what? To Richard Nixon's war on drugs? As if we've gotten rid of the drugs, right? It's worked. What a resounding success. We have gotten rid of the drugs, and there is no more problem whatsoever. Fascism works, right? No, it hasn't worked for 60 years. So there's a whole bunch more races, and there's also the fire department race, which just happened, and it's over with. In the West Park district, there's 6 people that ran for the director of the West Park Fire District. It's their own district. It's, over there by the golf course and the zoo. And it's like, she said 600 people. So 600 people voted for their fire chief, essentially, and or their fire board. So, and then their fire board votes for their fire chief. And get this, it's all voluntary. So whatever happened in West Park, essentially, my guess is one asshole grabbed the power and he's like, hey, I got to control the fire truck. This one fucking prick in West Park started driving around in a fire truck and started making it look cool, and then he was like, you know what, well, I got elected, so, you can't help, I get to drive the fire truck. And he's rubbing it in all their faces, and then eventually they're like, oh yeah, well, we're going to get a board, and we're going to set this shit up. It seems like, I think it's a 6-person board. The the school board is only 5-person, so the fire department board in West Park of 600 voters in Pueblo City. So Pueblo City, right, there's a I-25, and then there's, Denny's. Is there even a Denny's? You got Red Lobster, and then you got, Arby's, and that's Pueblo City, you come to Pueblo City, you get your Arby's, you got McDonald's, Taco Bell, I think I saw a Burger King at Panda Express. Where else can you? Okay. So, there's a whole bunch of positions that are up for election right now. You got the Pueblo County Assessor, County Clerk, County Treasurer, Regent, 3rd District, 1 at-large Regent. These are all the people I get to vote for this year. And I'm paying attention to some of these other elections. The Pueblo County Commissioner's race, it's a very important race. District 3, Pueblo County Commissioner. It's actually one of the most powerful. The city has $100 million. The county's got $200 million. The difference is the city is more transparent, so people actually get to see what the hell the city's doing, whereas the county, they don't videotape their meetings. It's all kind of, they have that little tiny room. It can't be but 20 people watching what's going on, so I can't imagine. I don't... Do they have any checks? What is going on with the county? I would like to pay more attention to the county because all the county elections are up for election. So you got the state executive offices, you got the House and the House seats for the state and for the federal government, they're all up. All 65 House of Representatives for the state is up for re-election. And it's going to be like that every 2 years. There's 3 districts in Pueblo for the state house, 46, 47, and 62. And my district is 46, Dania Esgar. And she made headlines because she says that sexual harassment happens in Denver. So she's part of the Me Too movement, and there's a politician. I don't know what happened to the guy, if they eventually, if he got booted out or censured or fired, or if maybe, she's still covering it up. But it's, it's bullshit. She's also progressive, so I don't know. If nobody runs against her, she doesn't have a progressive challenger. She's not as progressive as she could possibly be. But that's, that's just the state house rep, that's just a race. Every 2 years, that is going to happen every 2 years. 2018, 2020, 2022, 24, 26. So, on and on. The incumbent has the advantage. So I always pull for the underdog because the incumbent has America votes for the incumbents 95% of the time. That pisses me off so fucking much. It makes me want to just automatically throw the incumbent out. Just instinctually. What, you already have power? Okay, nah, you've had power long enough. Time for you to get out and someone else to get in. So there's 2 trial judge retention elections. These are 6-year terms. It's Deborah Ehler and Allison Ernst. So Ernst and Ehler are going to ask you to retain their position. They've been judging. One has been doing it for 6 years. She was a magistrate. She's a chief judge right now. And then the other one's been judging for about a year or 2. And they're going to ask you for another 6-year term. You're not going to have a choice between one or another. You're going to have a choice of, do you want to keep them or don't you want to keep them? So that's that's for the, for what I can see. It just seems to me that the judicial branch, the 10th judicial branch, is the most powerful branch of government in Pueblo. The 10th judicial branch. Out of all the, executives and legislative, the county, the city, the 10th judicial branch. They run shit day to day. They're the ones that can throw you in jail. They're the ones that can fine you and, do whatever. So they can punish you. They can nab somebody, throw you in, right? And so that's fascist power. There's soft power, that's hard power. So the judicial branch almost seems like it has a monopoly on the hard power, when really the hard power is under the executive branch. But if the executive branch don't know that, then they'll just spend the money without really knowing the extent of their powers. So the executive and legislative branches, I don't believe they're as powerful. They handle the money. They have soft power. They have influence. But when it comes to fascist power, like, go kick that person's ass, that's going to be the sheriff who's going to do it. That's going to be the city police. And then, the judicial branch, a lot of people think they work for the judicial branch. So if the prosecutor is prosecuting, a bunch of shoplifting or something particular, if he's like being real strict about, maybe spray painting, so graffiti, if he, the district attorney, that's another election that's up. If District 20, which I don't even know what the hell is going on. The judicial branch to me is a mystery. Because there's the county courts, there's 3 county judges, there's 3 magistrates. Deborah Ehler began as a magistrate, and then she went up to a district court judge, and then she became the chief judge by appointment, and then by a retention election, which 75% of the Puebloan people 6 years ago in 2012 said, yes, we want Deborah Ehler back in there. She's been in there for 2 years. We want her to have another, let's add 6 more years on top of her 2 years that she's already been in there. So now she's been in there for 8 years. She's going to ask you for another 6 years. And that's, 8 years was good enough for George Washington. Is the president, the father of the country, 4 years and another 4 years, and then get the fuck out. Even dog catcher, no, 8 years in any position. Then you move up and, move on. In 8 years, you should have trained somebody else to take your position. If you're not doing that, then you're just, monopolizing and holding and just circling the wagon. This is mine, right? This is mine. I'm never going to let go. And there's several folks that have been in there for quite, a long-ass time. And so, again, the incumbents, people just, they know them, they've been in there in power for 20 years, and they're like, well, oh yeah, I know that. And then if they just shake their hands and be nice to him right before election day, they'll be like, well, he likes me, I could go up to him and tell him whatever I want to. There's the state executive positions, state treasurer, secretary of state. There's a state senator, the District 3. That's what Garcia, Leroy Garcia, and he's actually very powerful now. He's a Democrat, and so I don't know if they're progressive or not, and I don't see if there are any challengers. But I vote in these elections, and these would be elections that I'll get to. I'm also unaffiliated, so June 26th is when we have to turn in the primaries, the primary ballots, and they'll count all of the ones that they've got so far, so the ones that have been turned in so far, and then they'll count everybody that votes the day of. I could see I don't know. I like sitting at home and thinking about it and then sending it in, but I also I kind of like the idea of voting that day, that moment at the office, and then they go ahead and count it right then and there. But I don't know. It's fun, so it doesn't matter, really, right? As long as your vote is counted up. But I don't know if they count it up immediately or if it's later, so you're like, well, hell, did my vote get, counted yet? And then you're waiting for, anyways. And then the overseas ballots, and so you don't really know right from election day. And that's going to be the problem with instant runoff voting. Or the problem with the French runoff election. The instant runoff voting is what I want. It's instant runoff, so they're both runoff elections. Only one is instant. The other one's going to take 2 months. So who's the mayor? We're not going to find out on election day if we do what Gradisar wants. Who's going to be the mayor? Who's going to be the mayor? November 6th, we're all going to go vote for the mayor, and then we're going to find out nothing. We'll find out the top 2, and then we'll have to wait a month or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever the fuck they decide. So we won't even know who the mayor is until, several months afterwards. So I guess we'll talk about the mayor now. So the point of pointing out all those positions, let's just real fast read them all, because these are all the positions and people I get to vote for. These are also positions and people that I could theoretically run for, if I'm whatever, got the whatever. There's usually like 2 or 3 requirements, right? You have to be a citizen and you have to be able to hurdle so anyways, the Pueblo County coroner, do they have police powers? I put them at one of the top positions because if they're allowed to arrest the sheriff, they're one of the few people that are allowed to arrest the sheriff. The other people that can arrest the sheriff is any other police officer, anybody with arrest powers, and the executive branch. So the executive branch, that would be who can arrest the sheriff in the city. It would be the chief of police could definitely arrest the sheriff in the city, and Sam Azad, or the mayor, or the governor. So that's the executive branch. The executive branch can definitely arrest the police. Of course, the executive branch executes the laws. They're the ones in charge. It's their will. The state power is based upon their will. That's, if we're going to, pretend that government... Anyways, okay, so, ready? Read the list. Pueblo County Sheriff, 4-year term. District Attorney, District 20. Colorado Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, first post-modern mayor for Pueblo City, Pueblo County Coroner, Federal House of Representatives, Colorado District 3, 2 trial judge retention elections. These are 2 6-year terms. State Senator, District 3, State House of Representatives, District 46, State Treasurer, Secretary of State, Pueblo County Surveyor, 1 at-large regent, 1 regent, 3rd District, County Treasurer, County Clerk, Pueblo County Assessor. So I get to vote for 2 regents. And what's a regent? They're the ones that control the university system. So we actually have a state board, which there's 2 people that's up for election, but not my district. But we have a state board, so I guess they have to deal with the high schools and elementary and shit like that. Whereas the regents deal with the universities and hiking up tuition and hiring and firing the presidents and the budgets. They're also the ones that deal with the budgets. So regents, that's pretty big. Your higher education people, county treasurer, county clerk, that's your elections people, Pueblo County assessor, that's for your taxes, surveyor, that's for your land where the boundaries are for your land, treasurer. So all these positions. One more time, there's also the Pueblo County Commissioner that I'm paying attention. I can't vote for it. It's not in my district. That's District 3. So that would be my friend Nathan. Nathan can vote in the Pueblo County Commissioner's race, but he didn't vote last time. I think he said he threw his ballot away. And Nathan threw his ballot away in the trash can for the last general election. So he could vote for the Pueblo County Commissioner. So if I could convince him to vote for somebody. But I don't know. He's throwing... Anyways, I think it's there's 3 county commissioners, so the budget is twice as big as the city council, and they have all the land. The city has all the people, but the county has all the land. And they have all the money, $200 million, so they have twice the amount of money that actually goes into their coffers. So the county is run by only 3 people, whereas the city is run by, right now, city manager or the mayor, but a 7-person city council. So that's 8 people, right? 8 people that are total in the leadership. Whereas for the county, 3 people share equal amount of power as both the executive and the legislators. So that's a very huge, important election. Public County Commissioner, District 3, Public County Assessor, County Clerk, County Treasurer, the 2 regents, 1 at-large, 1 for the 3rd District, Public County Surveyor, Secretary of State, State Treasurer, State House of Representatives, District 46, Dania Esgar, State Senator, District 3, Leroy Garcia, 2 trial judge retention elections, Ernst and Ehler, and a federal House of Representative race, Scott Tipton's seat. You have 2 Democrats, 1 who is progressive, 1 who is running away from the progressive label. You have Diane Bush versus Carl Hanlon. Bush is the progressive, so I think she'll probably get my vote. For the Secretary of State, I like Jenna Griswold. The Willie Wayne Williams, he is going to be a formidable candidate. He's real smart. He does his job well. He's the one that's instituting these open primaries. And from what I could tell, he seems to be a pretty fair Secretary of State. And he also is a politician. I always see brand new pictures, and then he's like, boosting his post. So we all see that he's all around Colorado, hobnobbing with other county election officials, asking, answering their questions and helping them along. So Willie Wayne Williams is very formidable. He's a Republican, so there's a lot of things that there's some issue. One major issue was the faithless elector. So during the election of Donald J. Trump, you had people that would vote in the Electoral College. After the general election, they're actually allowed to vote for whoever they want to vote for, but Willie Wayne Williams illegally stopped one person from voting their conscience and voting for whoever they voted for. So there was one faithless elector. I think they voted for Bernie. But instead, Willie Wayne Williams made sure that the state of Colorado went to Hillary Clinton. The majority of the people went with the state, and typically that's, we want that. If the will of the people, the majority of the people voted for somebody, then that state should go for that candidate. But that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. And it's not because of the Electoral College. And the Electoral College is bullshit. It's elitist. I hate it. But it's the law of the land. And essentially, it's perfunctory. The people of Colorado vote for it. And then, the electors go. But Hillary lost. So it didn't fucking matter. It was a month or 2 afterwards. Hillary had already lost. Who gives a shit if he goes up there and votes for, General Patton? Who gives a shit? Mickey goddamn Mouse. If he writes in Mickey Mouse, who cares? He's allowed to. He's an elector. However, he got chosen to be an elector. He got chosen. That's the person. So he went against the federal constitution with that. That's Willie Wayne Williams. So because he's a Republican, I think when it comes to shit like that he'll always choose, what he thinks is the conservative. Well, I'm going to go with this because that's fair. I don't like you throwing curveballs, but it's within the scope of the rules. And so, because dude didn't have lawyer and just, dropped the whole matter as, big. But still, the vote shouldn't have gone to Willie Wayne Williams. I think the official record, they don't record the faithless elector, even though the U.S. Constitution is on the faithless elector's side. That's the point of the Electoral College, to overturn the election. If you picked a stupid-ass fucking candidate, then you need to overturn the election because it refines the masses. That's the point of the Electoral College. It's Madison, and read the Federalist Papers. Okay. So the Public County Sheriff, that's the head fascist for the entire county. It's also, I think, the tax collector. I don't know. That was the way it was in Kentucky. But the sheriff, that's a 4-year term. That's one of the head fascists. I think the sheriff can basically arrest all the judges. He can arrest the executive, legislative branch. The executive can arrest the sheriff, but I think the sheriff. So really, it's whoever puts the handcuffs on the other person first. The district attorney is the prosecutor, so whatever they put a priority on, that's what the police force, the judges are going to rubber stamp a lot of the things the police do, but they're also going to say, this is what we believe and this isn't what we believe. So there's kind of an unholy alliance between the two. It's just important. These two trial judge retention elections, you should just vote no out of principle, because who are you voting for? Do you want Allison Ernst or nobody? Oh my God, if we have no judge, who's going to run everything? You're still going to have Thomas Flesher. You're still going to have, 7 other judges, 3 county judges, 1 municipal judge. So, and 3 magistrates. So just because you don't retain 2 judges, you think the whole system's going to collapse? It's not going to collapse. It'll be okay. And really, why is there such overwhelming support for these judges? 75%? No way the city of Pueblo loves Deborah Ehler by a margin of 75%. The way judges run elections, I hate that too. We're not going to find out who they are, what they believe in. They're definitely political people. They definitely have ideas about how the world works, but they're just going to say, I'll be fair and even-handed, and they'll try to pretend that they have no viewpoints. Some of the ones actually, speak up. And I like them because who is Deborah Ehler? What is the essence? What is the stuff she is made up of? Who is Allison Ernst? What is she made up of? And I want to know, where do they stand on the war on drugs? Where do they have, the war on drugs? What about the war on poverty? Does she defend the system? Does she help folks out? Is she lenient? Well, what kind of, what I mean? So there's a lot of questions that aren't being answered. And just because the, all the lawyers retained or endorsed the person, we're supposed to just follow along with a bunch of lawyers. And so I'm glad the lawyers can get along with these damn judges, but that's the only indication is what the lawyers think. So the retention elections is just bullshit on the face. Just you should vote no just cause. Just cause. What happens? Let's do a science experiment. What will happen if we vote no? Who do we want? Do we want Allison Ernst or nobody? We vote nobody. Do we want Deborah Ehler as the chief judge, or that's in her domain? I'm sure there'll be a chief judge, and there'll be there's 7 total judges, so there would be 5 judges left, 3 county judges and 1 municipal judge. And I know that the 10th judicial branch actually looks down upon the county. So I wonder, in the municipal judges, so I wonder, are the magistrates more powerful than the municipal judges and the county judges? I would like to actually find that out. Where's the division of power? Who gets what? Who does what, right? We got plenty of judges. We don't need 2 judges. What would happen? We didn't want them, so the governor would just appoint another judge, and then we'll just have to tolerate them until, we have to kick them out too. That's the only chance we have to kick out the judge. And it's 6-year terms. She's already had her 8 years. One of them has. And then for the establishment, why would you just keep somebody who's been in there? Well, she's been in there for a year. Is she doing a good job? Do you know any of what she is doing? And why is that not videotaped? How come talk about transparency? We knew what the city council does. Do we know what the 10th judicial branch is doing? So these are huge, huge elections. Coroner, the first postmodern mayor, attorney general, the top law officer, the Colorado governor, the top executive, the head cop, and the lieutenant governor, the secession, federal house representative, state senator, state house rep, state treasurer, secretary of state, the money people, the election people, Pueblo County surveyor, the 2 regions, treasurer, clerk, assessor, and the Pueblo County commissioner. Okay. So that's who the 2018 is going to be, a huge election. Now we have a postmodern mayor, okay? So the Pueblo chieftain, they need to stop lying. They keep saying that it's the first mayor. It's not the first fucking mayor. It's not the first fucking mayor at all. And so they need to quit lying. It's the first postmodern mayor. It's the first mayor in the modern era. But Pueblo City had 21 mayors in the beginning of the history of Pueblo City. So let's see, we got 17 people right now who's running for Pueblo mayor. And the 17 candidates are Janet Wilson, Jackie Massey, so the Mr. Working Class and Defender of the Homeless, the Canadian God, that is Janet Wilson. She gets, I think because she's older, I'm like, oh, she's wiser and she knows what's going on. She looks the part. She looks like a good mayor. She looks like, people would listen to her and she'd be able to inspire people. That being said, I hope she doesn't try to shut other people down who have good ideas just like how she was. I hope she doesn't become the very thing that she doesn't like that they're doing. Charlotte Perez, she's the most progressive candidate in there. Nick Gradisar. Charlotte Perez also got appointed to the Human Relations Commission, which is a huge deal. If she can knock that out of the park, then she could prove that she could do government work. Then, you know, maybe she could be mayor. So, Nick Gradisar, he's in there. These are the candidates, 9 mayoral candidates I've seen in real life. Nick Gradisar, Larry Atencio, old Larry, old Steve Noraki, that one guy, Gary Lee Clark, the teddy bear fascist, Nick Ayers, that one kid, he's 19 years old, but I feel like he really plays on his, you know, his youth a lot. He's, you know, deserves a seat at the table. Let's hear what he wants to do crowdsourcing. And so I think that's, you know, we should listen to that. We all get together, throw a bunch of money in for a good idea and help each other out. That seems like a good idea to me. Lori Winter, the homeless vampire slayer. And then we got 8 mayoral candidates I don't know shit about. Melissa Madrid, Nestor Machado, Brian Dorsey, Russell Martinez, Ted Lopez Jr., Peter Van Salisbury, a 39-year-old little rascal, and Thomas Croshaw, and Keith Rick Walt. Those are the people that have filed an affidavit to run for mayor. There are 17 candidates so far, and we're not going to use instant runoff voting. We're only going to do top 2. So between 17 candidates, that's going to be divided what? We're going to have one 6% winner and one 5% winner. All right, we're going to have one 6% winner and one 5% winner. And those are going to be the top 2. And then we're going to vote on those top 2 out of 17 people. Just one top 2 election versus an instant runoff election, which can do 10 elections instantaneously. It's dumb. It's dumb to go along with the French runoff, the simple, basic bitch French runoff system that Gradisar tucked into the 10-page bundle of changes, the 70-plus amendments that is known as Strong Mayor. So just because this thing was tucked into Strong Mayor, the people didn't vote for a French runoff election. They voted for a mayor, a popularly elected mayor, and the people of Pueblo want the fairest mechanism in order to get a mayor. So you didn't do it right. You didn't do it through charter convention. Why don't the city actually do this one right? You get the instant runoff voting going. It's revolutionary and it'd be awesome. And, you know, I'll quit talking about the damn charter convention. It's that important to me. The instant runoff voting, it just would change everything. Why don't you actually get a fair democracy to the Republicans and to the Democrats? You all want top 2? You just want the top 2 because you don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in fairness. You don't believe in giving the independents a chance. And I'll just mention this one big thing that I just finished writing, but on it's illegal. That's another thing. Bo Ortiz points out that it's illegal. So they didn't listen to their charter. Big shocker there, right? They didn't listen to their own charter, but they also did not. They're breaking a federal law called UOCAVA. That's the initials, so like UOCAVA. So the UOCAVA law and the UOCAVA law, and then MOVE, and then there were some other ones that updated it. So it was amended 2002, 2005, 2009. But the UOCAVA law just makes sure that the U.S. soldiers are able to vote. The U.S. soldiers are able to vote in the federal elections. So it's a federal law covering federal elections, and Bo says that it's also the state. Colorado has passed this thing too. Now, I couldn't find the state, and whether or not that's true, I think it's 45 days is a good window. How many, they need some time to get the ballots, research, to think about it, then send it back. So 45 days sounds right. So do we want the troops? This is the home of heroes because of all the people that had died for the wars, Korea, Vietnam, and World War II. So we're known as the home of heroes. We're going to send these boys out to fight, and then we're not going to let them, they're fighting for democracy and freedom all over the world, but we're not going to let them vote. If they had instant runoff voting, they would be able to vote right away. So the Strong Mayor breaks a federal law called UOCAVA. So the UOCAVA law says you need 45 days. They haven't given them a 45 days. They said that the runoff election needs to happen in 30 days. So at the very least, they got to wait for 2 months because they have 2 weeks plus 45. So that's about January 8th would be the Tuesday. So anyways, yeah. So that's 30 minutes of what's been going on. Peace.